Alright, so in this tutorial what we're going to do is we're going to install Spark on our newly launched instance on AWS. So this tutorial assumes that you have SSH access into an Ubuntu 16.04 machine. If you don't, then you should figure that out before doing this. Alright, so what do we do first? So let's reference some of the documentation that's already been written for this project, which we're going to be following for this tutorial, right? So to do that, go to Inertia 7 and type in Spark, and we're going to do learning Spark, Apache Spark, so right here. So we're going to be following this tutorial. We're not going to go over what Apache is or what it's for. We're just going to install it, and then we're gonna do a quick demo on it. Okay, so let's open up our terminal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one screen right next to the other, so I can switch back and forth. So it should be pretty fast. Alright, so SSH cluster demo, and I am SSH now into my machine on AWS, and again I'm running Ubuntu 16.04. Awesome. So one thing that's interesting that I found is, as I was trying to put together this project, is that these Ubuntu machines with 16.04 do not actually have some of the Python dependencies for Spark, which was kind of surprising to me. So that was kind of where I spent a little bit of time debugging that. But essentially what we're going to do first is, and you can follow this tutorial on your own, it's really easy. What we're going to do is first install some of those first Python dependencies. So sudo apt install python minimal, and it's going to ask you some cryptic question. We're just going to say yes, yes to everything, yay, yes to everything. Alright, so now we're going to update our distribution of Linux, Ubuntu, and update software that's contained in there. So we're going to do sudo apt-get update. Literally all I'm doing is copy pasting the commands that I already put in this tutorial for you. So that's done. Then I'm going to go ahead and install Java, the Java runtime environment, I think that's what it's called. I'm going to say yes. So that's thinking. And we just gotta let it think until it's finished thinking. Oh no, this is we're installing Java now. Yay! So it installed the JRE. Now we're gonna go ahead and sudo apt-get install Default Jdk. I think that stands for Java Development Kit, and we're gonna say yes. Cool. And now we're going to continue with the commands here. We're going to press enter. Then we're going to update again. Woo! Super exciting. Copying and pasting commands. Now sudo apt-get install Oracle Java 8 installer. Yeah. Then okay. Then do I accept the binary? The Oracle binary code license terms? Sure. Why not?
So we update twice?
Yeah.
What's that repository right
I'm not entirely sure.
there?
I have no idea. I think we're adding a namespace of that repository so that we can install Oracle from that repository. But I'm not entirely sure. I just know that it works. Right, so now we're going to do sudo update alternatives config java. And so this is where it may get tricky for some of you. We want to select the option. So this is setting some default configuration for your computer so that it can pull a certain version of Java. And what we're going to do is specify the one that is user lib jvm java 8 oracle jre bin java. So right now that's the option that's by default selected here. As you can see, it has the asterisk. So if it didn't have the asterisk, I would press 2 and then enter. Since it's already selected by default, I'm just going to go ahead and press enter. So that's happy. Now we have to set the Java home variable. For this, we need to open a config file inside of the etc directory, and the file is called environment. Since this file exists within the etc directory, we need to use super user permissions to edit the file, right? So what does that mean? So I'm going to go ahead and do sudo vi slash etc slash environment, right? And then there's something already there. It's awesome. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to the end of that. I'm going to press I to insert. And then I'm going to copy this Java home variable declaration over here. Then I'm going to press escape :W to write and Q to quit. Right? Is anybody not able to follow thus far? Everyone's happy? I can't hear you.
When are you going to be prompted to select the user lib? I just pressed enter. What are you supposed to do asterisk 2?
So, okay, you're asking about the previous step, right? This one?
Yeah.
So let's run that just to see the example there. So sudo update alternatives config java. So here I see, let me make that bigger so you guys can see it. Alright, so here it's asking me, it's asking me which selection I want to use as default, right? By default, we want to use this one, user lib jvm java 8 oracle jre bin java. Notice that there's an asterisk over here. So if that's the case, I just go ahead and press enter. It's fine. If something else has the asterisk, like 1 or 0, I would go ahead and specify 2. I'll just press 2 and then enter.
So 0 and 2 are the same, but they only differ by the status. One's auto, one's manual. So why do we want manual over auto?
I don't know. Yeah, anything else? If you find out, let me know.
Okay.
Love you. Anything else? Cool. All right. So enter. Cool. All right. So now that we were able to set the Java home variable, we're going to make sure that the computer knows that that's the case. So we're going to go ahead and enter source etc/environment. And now we're going to do echo Java home with a $sign in there. And now notice the path that I get back from the terminal, which is what we were specifying earlier here as well as here, right? So we're just specifying default paths for our Java code that we can use. Now we're going to go ahead and install SBT. As you guys can see, SBT is a build tool for Java and Scala. What that means is when you type Java code, you need to compile it, right? When you write Java code, that code is called source code. And when you compile it, it's called build, right? So that the compiled code is what the computer runs to execute, right? Probably have to help you afterward. We'll figure it out. Is anyone stuck? Is everyone following this far? Happy? Thumbs up everywhere? Yay! Alright, cool. So now we're going to go ahead and install SBT. So we copy this thing over. Press enter. Cool. And then continue copying and pasting commands. Not that there's any risk to blindly copying and pasting commands that have sudo at all, but yeah. Cool. And finally, sudo apt-get install sbt. Now we're going to go ahead and install Scala. For that, we do another Huh? What is it? Okay, I'll come help you after. So sudo apt-get update, and then sudo apt-get install Scala. Cool. And then finally we get to the climax of this tutorial, which is actually installing Spark. And it's probably noteworthy to say that we're not installing Scala on a cluster yet. We're doing a standalone server with Scala as an introduction to Spark. Or sorry, Spark, not Scala, Spark. Alright, so for this, we're going to cd into the home directory, right? So we're in home, ls, there's nothing there. We're going to use the command curl to download the latest distribution of Spark into your server, right? So curl is literally downloading files and then shoving them into the current directory as per the dot there. And we're also decompressing what we're downloading, right, which is awesome. So now if we ls, there's a distribution of Spark. As per this distribution, we have 2.1.0 with something Hadoop 2.7. Awesome. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to change the name of that directory to something more easily readable. So we're going to do move Spark blah 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 to just Spark. We're going to press enter. We ls again. That directory is called Spark. Yay, awesome. So now we're going to start fiddling with the guts of our server as it relates to it understanding that it has Spark installed, right? So we're going to move that directory into the user lib directory, right? And then we're going to go to that directory that we just, actually let's go into the Spark directory so you guys can see what's there. WLS. And this is what comes with your distribution of Spark. We're going to go ahead and cd into config as per the instructions right here. And now we're going to copy, we're going to make a copy of a file that's already there. And then we're going to fiddle with the other one, right? So in the instructions it says to open that file. So we're going to do sudo vi, and then we're going to copy this thing, paste it over here. We're going to enter, and now we're fiddling with our Spark environment.sh, which stands for shell. And if anybody knows how to cruise through a VI file or with VI on a Mac, by all means let me know, because I suck. I mean, you could, I guess, but I like to add it at the bottom just so I know where it is. I don't know. It's possible. Alright, so now that we've gone into our Spark env.sh file with VI, with Vim, we're going to paste those environment variables into that file. We're going to write and quit. We're going to write it and quit it. Now we're going to go ahead and sudo vi this thing over here. And this is just configuration, right? For the instance as it relates to Spark. So insert, and then copy this thing over into that instance. Write it and quit it. Woo! Awesome. And finally, we're gonna go ahead and set up some more variables as it relates to Java, SBT, and Spark into the bash rc file. Wait. So bi. Cool. So we're going all the way down. And we're going to copy and paste all this shit in there. Awesome. Woo! Then we're going to escape, colon, write it, and quit it. And that's it. So now you should have Spark installed on your instance. Super exciting. Definitely one of the most exhilarating parts of my life. You guys are a great audience. Thank you. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and close the terminal. And I'm going to go ahead and restart that instance. So I'm going to go into AWS. I'm going to log in. I'm going to go into services, EC2. I have 8 running instances, which is pretty irrelevant for you guys, but and then I'm going to go ahead and do a right click and do a reboot on that instance. So I'm rebooting that instance so that everything knows what's going on in there with the code, with the different configurations and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and open up another terminal. And I'm going to attempt to SSH into that instance, even though we may not be able to get in. Yeah. That's a soft yes. Yeah. I went into the AWS console. You can also do sudo reboot. I like to go into the I don't like to do this because it's a hard reboot. it's not. It doesn't wait for the instance to slowly turn off and power on again. So go to your, just do a right click, and then go to instance state, and then do reboot. Yeah. Alright, so now we're in our instance again, and we should be able to type in PySpark. And if that doesn't work, then this tutorial is a waste of your time. I apologize. And it worked. We have now Spark installed on our instance, and we can run some simple Spark stuff. As you can see, we got some errors here. Unable to load native Hadoop library for your platform using built-in Java classes where applicable. I'm assuming that you can get those errors not to show up if you installed such dependencies, right? For the purposes of this tutorial, we don't care. It's fine. So now what we're going to do is run some demo Spark things to have fun. Alright, so now that we've opened up PySpark by typing in PySpark into the terminal, once we're SSH'd, we go ahead and actually Ravi has some nice things over here in his Apache Spark 2. So let's try that for the quick demo. So in Spark, let's type data. Let's assign that to an array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm just going to copy paste this stuff over here. Dis data, SC, parallelized data. SC is an object in Spark, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I'm still learning this stuff. And then we do a collect method on that. Cool. We get our data back. So we're collecting our data that we inputted. And now let's run a reduce method on our data. Right? So this data, so this stuff over here, we're going to reduce that with these lambda parameters, which I'm still learning. Right? We hit enter. Essentially, that adds all of our different data inputs into a single integer. And that's it. So if you're able to get this, you have successfully installed Spark and ran some PySpark methods. If you have any questions, stick around and we can hang out.